Hello friends and welcome back. Let's talk about English non-fictional prose during 20th century in this video. 20th century is also known as the age of interrogation. There are many things that have shaped 20th century writings. Some important characteristic features of this century are scientific spirit, skeptical narratives about God, religion and mythology, the world wars, loss of faith in humanitarian values, loss of faith in God and religion, etc. There were many significant non-fictional prose writers in this age. Let's talk about them one by one. Let us begin with H.G. Wells. H.G. Wells was born in 1866 and died in 1946. He is famous for his science fictions. He thought that science and technology would change the new age in many ways. His famous prose works are Anticipation of the Reaction of Mechanical and Scientific Progress upon Human Life and Thought. It was published in 1907, and his another famous work is A Modern Utopia, published in 1905. Another non-fictional writer of 20th century is G.K. Chesterton. G.K. Chesterton was born in 1874 and died in 1936. He was famous for his writings on social criticism, literary criticism, theology, and religion. His major non-fictional prose works are: number 1, The Defendant, which was published in 1901, The Heretics, which was published in 1905, 12 Types, published in 1902, Robert Browning, published in 1903, Charles Dickens, published in 1906, Appreciations and Criticism of the Works of Charles Dickens, published in 1911, George Bernard Shaw, published in 1909, The Victorian Age in Literature, published in 1913, Orthodoxy, published in 1909, St. Francis of Assisi, published in 1923, The Catholic Church and Conversion, published in 1926, The Things Why I Am a Catholic, published in 1929, St. Thomas Aquinas, published in 1933, Avowals and Denials, published in 1934, On Returning After One's Hat, published in 1908, A Defense of Nonsense, published in 1909, and The Everlasting Man, published in 1925. There is a long list of the writings of G.K. Chesterton. Let us try to understand a few writings of A.G. Gardiner. A.G. Gardiner was born in 1865 and died in 1946. He was a prolific writer, thinker, and essayist of 20th century. He has written his essays under the pen name Alpha of the Plough. His essays are very simple in style, and the subject matter of his essays is common walks of life. He is also known for his elegant and humorous style of writing. Some of his best-known works are Pillars of Society, Pebbles on the Shore, Many Furrows, Leaves in the Wind, Portraits and Portents, Prophets, Kings, The Anglo-American Feature, The Life of George Cadbury, The Life of Sir William Harcourt, Warlords, and The Windfalls. This is also a long list. Now let's talk about the great man Sir Bertrand Russell. Sir Bertrand Russell was born in 1872 and died in 1970. He was an elected Fellow of Royal Society in 1908. He was honored with Nobel Prize in 1950. He is well known for his famous essays published as Unpopular Essays in 1950. Unpopular Essays is the collection of his essays written on the variety of topics. He has written about democracy, mathematics, geography, social realism, mysticism, philosophy, logic, politics, reason, science, psychology, and also about the working of human mind. His significant works are German Social Democracy, published in 1896, Foundations of Geometry, published in 1897, A Critical Exposition of the Philosophy of Leibniz, published in 1900, Principles of Mathematics, published in 1903, Philosophical Essays, published in 1910, The Problems of Philosophy, published in 1912, Principles of Social Reconstruction, published in 1916, Mysticism and Logic and Other Essays, published in 1918, Our Knowledge of the External World as a Field of Scientific Method in Philosophy, published in 1916, Principles of Social Reconstruction, published in 1916, Roads to Freedom, Socialism, Anarchism, and Syndicalism, published in 1918, The Analysis of Mind, published in 1921, The Problems of China, published in 1922, The ABC of Atoms, published in 1923, Logical Atomism, published in 1924, The ABC of Relativity, published in 1925, On Education, published in 1926, The Analysis of Matter, published in 1927, An Outline of Philosophy, published in 1927, Skeptical Essays, published in 1928, Marriage and Morals, published in 1920, The Conquest of Happiness, published in 1930, Freedom and Organization, published in 1934, In Praise of Idleness, published in 1935, Power, A New Social Introduction to Its Study, published in 1938, An Enquiry into Meaning and Truth, published in 1941, History of Western Philosophy, published in 1946, Human Knowledge, Its Scope and Limits, published in 1948, and Authority and the Individual, published in 1949. Bertrand Russell's writings are vast. I mean, it's a long list of writings. He has written a lot on a variety of topics too. E.M. Forster is also a famous writer, non-fictional prose writer of the 20th century. He was born in 1879 and died in 1970. He is commonly known for his novels. However, his text aspect of the novel is considered an important text of non-fictional prose. It is a publication of series of lectures delivered by Forster on the English language and novel at Trinity College, Cambridge in 1927. There is another famous writer of non-fictional prose during this period, and that is Somerset Maugham. Somerset Maugham was born in 1874 and died in 1965. He is famous for his autobiographical work entitled Of Human Bondage, published in 1915. His non-fictional prose work, Cake and Ale, is one of the popular non-fictional writings. It is also known as The Skeleton of the Cupboard. It was published in 1930. 20th Century is also known for literary theory and criticism. I.A. Richards, T.S. Eliot, F.R. Lewis, Virginia Woolf, and Raymond Williams are some of the notable writers of this genre during 20th century. Let's talk about them too. Let's first of all try to understand the writings of I.A. Richards. I.A. Richards was born in 1893 and died in 1979. He is known as the pioneer of Anglo-American criticism. He applied the scientific method to criticism. His famous books on literary criticism are The Foundations of Aesthetics, published in 1921, The Meaning of Meaning, published in 1923, Principles of Literary Criticism, published in 1924, Practical Criticism, published in 1924, and Coleridge on Imagination, published in 1935. Now let's try to understand the writings of F.R. Lewis. F.R. Lewis was born in 1895 and died in 1978. He is known for running a quarterly titled Scrutiny during 1932 and 1953. The Great Tradition is his phenomenal work. He was selected Jane Austen, George Eliot, Henry James, Joseph Conrad, and D.H. Lawrence as representing the main tradition of English novels. T.S. Eliot is another famous and well-known non-fictional prose writer of this century. T.S. Eliot is known for writing a lot of things, but as we are talking about non-fictional prose writing, let us stick to the point. T.S. Eliot was born in 1888 and died in 1965. He is known for different types of writings in English. He is commonly known for his master poems, The West Land. He has also contributed to the field of English non-fictional prose. Tradition and Individual Talent is his most celebrated essay. The essay mainly speaks about the function of poetry. It was written in 1919. His famous theory of impersonality is the idea discussed in the essay Tradition and Individual Talent. His other notable critical essays are Hamlet and His Problem, Poetry and Drama, Possibility of a Poetic Drama, The Sacred Wood, The Function of Criticism, The Spirit of Romance, and The Metaphysical Poets. Now let us try to understand Virginia Woolf and her writings. Virginia Woolf was born in 1882 and died in 1941. She was one of the most important modernist writers. She is famous for her stream of consciousness novels. Her non-fictional prose writings are A Room of One's Own, published in 1929. The Moment and the Other Essays, published in 1947. The Captain's Deathbed and Other Essays, published in 1950. Modern Fiction, published in 1919, and The Common Reader, published in 1925. Let's talk about Raymond Williams now. Raymond Williams was born in 1921 and died in 1988. He was a Marxist theorist. He was a Welsh by birth. He was an academician, novelist, and a critic. His important works are Reading and Criticism, published in 1950. Drama from Ibsen to Eliot, published in 1952. Culture and Society, published in 1958. The Long Revolution, published in 1961. Communications, published in 1973. Modern Tragedy, published in 1966. The English novel From Dickens to Lawrence, published in 1970. These were some of the important writers and their writings of non-fictional prose during 20th century. I hope it was useful for you and you liked it. If you liked it, please hit the like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe for the channel if you are new to it. Thank you very much for watching.